Hi, Sandra Gerard from sandratwp.com, the worthier part here to talk to you about Forte by J.D. Sparrow. So this book, it's aimed towards the teen crowd, but I found it kind of interesting reading it now as a mom of a teen. It has an interesting twist on a common premise. So the main character is a teen named Sammy who moves from the big city into a really small town. She's not really thrilled about the move. It was her mother's idea. Now, she's aware that her life wasn't perfect before she moved, but she did have this identity before she moved where she was really known as a very gifted and accomplished musician, especially for a young person. So, the twist on this is that she comes to this new town where she's not really, no one knows her as a musician, and she's not making friends very quickly, but she's surprised, number one, that she's recruited for a sports team, and then number two, she seems to do amazing. She's never played this sport before. Not only is she able to do it, she's really good. She's really excelling. Now, then some things go what you might expect. Her mother's upset that she's gone out for the sports team, and Sammy assumes that this is because her mother thinks she's not going to be able to manage her time. She's not going to be able to handle practicing her music and being at the sports practices. But in the end, it turns out it doesn't really have anything to do with Sammy's ability to balance her activities. And as the story unfolds, we learn that there are two sides in this town. And, you've got the jocks on one side. This might sound a little familiar. And then on the other side, you've got the kids who are involved in the arts, the performing arts. So whether that's performing arts, drama, music, dance, but it also includes visual arts, painting, sculpture. And so both of these sides in this town have performed really well historically. They've excelled. They bring in grant money. They win state championships. And this rivalry has built up. And what happens in the story, in the history as we learn it, is that the sports faction has been so driven to win that they have figured out how to use minerals that have been mined from a local mountain to create this sort of super performance enhancing sports drink. So it turns out that this sports drink is not only addictive, it's just flat out bad for you. I mean, it causes some serious damage to some people. So, what ends up happening here with Forte is you have, you're taking a look at this idea of consequences of bowing to peer pressure. When you're a teen, you're figuring out who are your real friends and who are people that are just using you. And above all, you're knowing yourself, and you're learning who you really are as a person. And in Forte here, we have a good portrait of these common issues that teens are deal with, but then it's all set in this sort of unexpected sci-fi fantasy setting. I ended up reading the entire book in about one day. I realized pretty early on that Sammy was going to make some really bad decisions, and they were going to have some tough consequences, not because she's a bad kid or because she's a dumb kid, but just because there wasn't going to be much to talk about in this book if some things didn't happen. But then I kind of got hooked, and I really wanted to see how the author was going to turn it around. As a mom, as a former teen, and as a former teacher, I really enjoyed J.D. Sparrow's characterizations of the teens, both the boys and the girls. They aren't made out to be dumb, and they aren't made out to be shallow, and they aren't made out to be villainous. They're just like real kids that I went to school with, real kids that I taught in school, and I really appreciated her making them real people. So, I think that you'll find that this book has all of these lessons that I've talked about, but it's also, it's a good story, and it's a good read. If you'd like more information, I've gone ahead and I have put a link in the notes. Thank you so much for watching.